Call the names. Wake the room. Wake the room.
Rex, Pam, Ray, Naomi, Fasciana, Babbler, Monarch, Soul, Jojo, Gray Eyes, fill my eyes.
Poets assemble. No masks, no manners. Say it plain or say it broken. Monday night in the garden of enlightenment. Low light lit minds, every line got intent. Clock ticks crooked and the room turns vigilant. Quiet so loud you can hear what the tension meant. Then it slips after midnight, manners get murdered. Nice little masks get cracked by a word or a murmur. Twisted Tuesdays twist truth till it turns on its heel. Clean cut faces go strange when the dark gets real.
You can feel that shift, that slick little slip when the grin stays sweet, but the eyes don't sit. Like the room grew ribs, like the walls grew ears, like the hush got hands and it's pulling you near. And the words don't rest, they press, put a heel on the chest, leave a dent in the breath. Every line like a knock from the back of the brain, like you came in one shape.
You won't leave the same.
Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown in the soft door dim. To the pull you can't ignore. We don't just read the night, we make it something more. Say it plain, say it broken.
Late night poets.
Wednesday brace parts and apart, sink down the spine, half halo, half has both hands in the light. Then the art, as addiction walks off through the smoke. Silk on the tongue with the blade in the joke. Books and bards, wakes dust in the depth of the shelves. Old ghosts lean out and start naming themselves. In our coffins, selling art, the ache gets a voice. Pain stands up straight and makes silence a choice. Then break on through when the dead boogies wave. When the masses sink, but the pulses pray. Echoes in the dark, go hunting to the fear. That thing with no name starts ringing in your ear.
Say it.
Some water it down, let it bite, let it bloom, let it burn through the crowd. Back company grins like a bruise, dressed smart in rhythm and rhyme. Puts a boot through the heart. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown in the soft door dim. Late night poets, hear the whole thing shift. From a whisper in the ribs to a line that lifts. From the darkened edge of doubt to the pull you can't ignore. We don't just read the night, we make it something more. Say it plain, say it broken.
Late night poets. Some come shattered, some come slick. Some speak honey with a blade in it. Some sound velvet, some sound wire. Some walk in low and take the room higher. Some come holy,
some come liars. That's the thing, this ain't filler for the dead space. No, there's a pause for the pen. This is blood with the net go. This is breath with the backbone, ink with the crown. Loud mics like nerves, truth laid bare in the round. This is the beautiful mess, the bruise and the bloom. The line that cuts clean and makes a little room. Late souls, wide eyes, all nerve in the dark. A room full of hearts beating hard through the dark.
wake the room. make it something more. Late night poets. When the clock slips past polite, we tell the truth. LNP, we love you. Stay frosty.
Hello and welcome to Echoes in the Dark. The darkness in each of us needs an opportunity to be heard, understood, and embraced. So whether it comes in the form of a whisper or a scream, we will carry forth the poetry that expresses the haunting echoes within your soul. I am Pam Ray, and with me is my co-host Intimitus Rex. Rex and I are poets on a website called All Poetry, with a group of poets called Late Night Poets. Tonight is our dark poetry show, and if you find that is not your cup of tea, please check out our other shows. We have 1 to 2 shows per night on a variety of styles of topics and poetry, something to suit everybody's taste. Also, make sure when you get a chance to check out the poetry anthologies put out by Late Night Poets on Amazon, because when you purchase those, you not only get amazing poetry, you help support these radio shows. And hello, Rex. How goes it?
All right, what's up?
Oh, let's see. It was an indoor day. It was a little warm. So I kind of went between napping, reading poetry, and doing a tiny little bit of cooking and cleaning. So it was a nice variety day. How about you? Did you get outside, stay indoors? What happened with your day?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. That's all we make. It makes for a nice variety for sure. And yeah, makes for a nice variety. And I also would like to welcome Robbie to the show. Hello, Robbie. How's it going?
Welcome to the darkness. Hello.
The darkness that didn't start until Robbie got here.
Yes. Well, I was just laughing. I thought the tone of the art. Oh my God! I just realized that all the oranges, and that looked like my sky. That was
right.
That was like the sky during the smoke. Oh my God! I'm freaking out.
Oh my God! That is
script keeper here.
That is so true. That is very. I actually did when I saw that image of your sky when you were dealing with all that smoke. Definitely made me think of this particular artist. And yes, I'm looking forward to hanging out with Rex and Robbie and other cool poets and delving into some awesome dark poetry. Tonight, we will be reading poetry, dark poetry, inspired by the artwork of Polish artist Jezisław Baczynski. And I think many people, even if you don't recognize his name, you will recognize his artwork. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Yumpy, who's listening in on StreamYard. I don't know why my mind is glitching tonight. I keep wanting to say Podbean, and I know it's not Podbean, so I have to stop and I have to figure out. Baczynski, who had a really fascinating life, and his life, like, you can see how it is that he came to paint so much darkness. He went through a lot of darkness in his life, but despite that, there are people who knew him really well said he actually was a very kind person with a great sense of humor. But he was born right around the time of World War II in war-torn Poland. And he had a lot of suffering that happened in his life. His wife, I believe, died of cancer, and then like a year later his son died, and he himself, Baczynski, sadly was actually stabbed in his apartment by a teenager that he knew, who stabbed him over a very small amount of money. It was just really sad, but you can. His artwork is absolutely fascinating. We have done a show on him before, but that was years ago, and he has such a variety of artwork that I was able to put up ones that I hadn't put up as prompts before. Um, One of the things that I find particularly fascinating about this artist is that he refused to title or name his paintings because he didn't want them to have labels. And he also very much refused to explain them. Like if you look at this artwork, you can see symbolism in it, but he refused to explain the symbolism, or even if there was any, because he wanted the viewer to interpret that. He also was very hesitant to sell his artwork. And one of the interesting reasons that he was very hesitant to sell it was because he felt that once you transitioned a painting from the light that it was painted under to a different light, it lost something in that transition. But yeah, his artwork, I've written to at least a couple, if not a few, of his pieces for various contests. But we have a nice full board tonight, quality and quantity. And Rex, I don't know if there was anything that you would like to add.
No, it's got some great pieces, so it has something we've hit on before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's got both an emotional, it's got, I shouldn't say both, like there's so many different layers of darkness. There's emotional darkness, there's spiritual, psychological darkness, and there's also what I feel makes social commentary, especially some of his pieces that depict war. So very true. And Robbie, would you like to add anything?
Well, one comment I heard that really stuck with me was that, like with his painting, a lot of it is so abstracted and such that, that's the thing. Like usually, paintings will, you can relate it to life in some shape or form, but a lot of it with his work, it's just like something you just couldn't even imagine. And I know, like there's that one building that's floating up in the air, and it looks like it's all made of nerves, and it's got like a giant hole in the middle, and it's like, you look at that and you think, yeah, like you couldn't even think of that. Like it just wouldn't come to your mind. It's just so abstract that it made me think of a military commander that nobody could that everybody had trouble defeating him, because at one point he nailed like burning pitch or something to the feet of crows, and they wanted to get away from it, so they flew up to the rooftops, and then the roofs would catch on fire. That was one of his strategies. And then they were like, well, how do we account for that? How do we account for a commander that has strategies that are so outside of what we think? And he's kind of like the artistic version of that. And I like the organic feel of his poem, of his art. Like you see the car there with it almost looks like nerves, and there's so much there that in his art where you can kind of see that. And I find the use of his orange colors, like of orange, the use of that to be just so striking. It's like kind of when you see a sepia photo, and even though it's one shade, it has so much expression in it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it is. His use of color is striking, because I think the use of the almost unnatural greens and oranges is really what adds to the atmosphere of the painting. Um, how I think it was like either the 50s or 60s that like the avocado orange or the avocado green and the bright, like the burnt orange, were really popular for like kitchens and living rooms. That's what a lot of his coloring reminds that. Like if somebody took those shades and made them even more of a nightmare than they already are. So.
Just imagine being in the kitchen with those colors.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Would you like an apple pie, son? No, because I'm afraid that your apple pie was created with a ritual sacrifice. Sorry, I'm going to pass.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Exactly.
If I remember correctly, way back in the 50s, I think it was, when you went to grocery stores, the carpet was that burnt orange.
Oh my goodness. They had carpet in grocery stores?
Oh, way back in the day.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even know that. I never lived in a time period when there was carpet in grocery stores. Oh, interesting. Interesting for sure. Okay, so on our last show, the show just before this one, we were having some technical issues where recordings were echoing. And so what I'm going to do is, our first poem I'm going to put up is going to have a recording with it. And Yumpy and Jojo, who are listening in, are going to tell us if there is echoing on the recording. And if there is, I'm going to stop it, and we are going to move the recordings forward and only focus on poems that we will be reading. And if that does happen, I truly apologize. But I think it would just be best to be able to move those forward and hopefully have the recordings work when we do. But what would be really nice is if for this particular show, we actually don't have any of those glitches. So fingers crossed, and get the first poem up. All right, so the first poem I put up is Words I Never Spoke by Shadows Night. And let me go push play.
Here I am with a knife, down this besotted street I walk, my name adrift among curdled whistles, my shadow haunting the untrodden dark, where charred spears bear my initials. Life's wretched gifts lie at my feet, unwrapped by my blood-stained shears. Twin blades strike midnight, silent, discreet, drawing first blood in ethereal cohesion. astray en route, armed with all my collected mementos. Would my broken prayers follow suit, or lie unchosen on barren meadows, ejected from grace and dully saluted? In the depths of my thoughts, an ill-boding fate I have conjured, passed down to the hands of forgotten gods, where my restless soul has wandered
Wonderfully done, Shadows Knight. Thank you for the SoundCloud. Very much appreciated. All right, Robbie, why don't you come kick us off?
Yes, this had an inevitability of. Oh yes, Pam, that was Wednesday. Yes. Ugh. The weeks just fade away, fade into one giant mush of days. Yeah. This poem had a feeling of inevitability of time, and especially like it made me think of, well, especially when it said life undone by film grained years. I think of like we were talking about sepia photos before, and especially like sepia photos, you think of like, photos that have been like they got dust on them, and or they're like they're burned at the edges or singed, or they're torn. um and Yeah, there's a lot of that. And actually, I think about, and what purpose does this iron hold if short of breaking my steel just folds? That kind of, it didn't mention it, but it almost made me feel or think of rust, and how that's very much an indicator of time, and times, in inevitability. And Towards the end, there's that looking back. If I could mute my crescendos and send them astray en route, armed with all my collective mementos, would my broken prayers follow suit? That's a very like symbolic way of saying things, and it makes me feel like it's alluding to past mistakes, correcting past mistakes, or maybe even more than that, uh kind of a more abstracted sort of a way of looking at the past, where you're kind of looking at the impact of the decisions you made, as opposed to regretting it and wishing you could change it, which is kind of interesting. And at the end, passed down through the hands of forgotten gods, where my restless soul has wandered lost. I think a little bit of is it the Furies? The in mythology, like you have the the three deities there, or the three entities that decide your fate. The fates, right? Is it the fates? Yes, I think
Yes.
that, yeah, the fates. I sometimes get mixed up between Greek and you know Roman mythology, and you're like kind of bouncing back and forth between the two, and so it kind of made me think of that. And so there's inevitability, but it's more thoughtful about that inevitability, and it's not just like, oh, things are inevitable. It's kind of pondering the why and how of the inevitability of things.
Nice. Thank you, Robbie. All right, Pam.
Yeah, I thought that was a wonderful SoundCloud provided. I this has strong imagery throughout. I like how it is written in the voice of someone who is looking at their past, and to me, there's almost this feeling of apathy within it, especially in the lines, "An idle corpse ascends upon my seat, the glue of life undone by film-grained years, cushioning my fall with hard concrete as my heart picks apart its own adhesion." Um, but there's this darkness, a feeling like, especially in that end stanza, a feeling like you had no control over your whole life, and in the end it just was, the god's fate that decided it all, and all that's left of you is simply this lost and restless soul that really has no sense of guidance. No, it's as if it's a person who has lost their sense, a soldier, a person who has lost their sense of purpose. So excellent dark right by Shadow's Night, and very well done.
Nice. All right, I get a sense of a number of people. This kind of walks on a different note for me. That opening stanza means a lot. Here I am with the night. Down this besotted street I walk. My name adrift among curled whistles. My shadow haunting the untrodden dark, where charred spears bear my initials. And that third one, he offers up film grain jeers, the telling of his tale in future gone past. So I get the idea. You hit on notes of Dracula with the Knights, Dorian Gray, uh, Kane, all those figures down through history who walked those curdled notes of darkness, because that's where they dwell, that's where they hunt, that's where they spill their blood, so to speak. And back end, you hit on that note of would my broken prayers follow suit, or lie unchosen on barren meadows, ejected from grace and dully saluted? I think that kind of walks that note to Cain. Um, might even Dracula might follow that way. It walks the thought of having some semblance of kind of like Lestat having some feelings for the peeps he interacts with. But I think it hits on all those figures who walk the darker end, who live, breathe, and sleep within that night that holds their power. Yet that film Grange years kind of walks that note of them being undone in a moment with explanations past the due date of their existence.
Well said there, Rex. I like the comparison to Cain. Very cool. All right. Up next, we have A Lofty Orphaned Kite by Mermaid. And go ahead, please, Rex, and give that a read.
All right. A lofty orphaned kite by Mermaid. In the breaking of backs is the memory of dreams, a place past on the left, caught in a cyclone of motion, a superstitious expulsion of all toxins in our ocean, and sobriety in between. The collecting of nature, a serendipitous interment of a crepuscular creature baptized in societal correction. Dying, I throw the key down in a sack, singing all the way, bowing forehead to the ground, catching thermal updrafts, touching sky to do the work, clouds hanging plump, a disease that conforms. Even normal is thermal, an unreachable entity. A lofty orphan kite, celestial, disturbing flights, casting molds of mold to dusk, dawn, and night, lying in between. Crack open the grazing glades of sleeping animals. I am one, and so are you, experiencing this life without blunted truths. I would keep you entertained all night, even if it broke as we choked back intensely, crying life fires. Voice of radio static, insensitive, in summary, nocturnal emissions now cauterized. And poem. There you go, Pam.
great read there, Rex. I really like this one. I think that Mermaid's surreal style of writing works particularly well with connecting with Baczynski's artwork. Um, I like how this speaks to me on the idea of the revelations of truth within life and how we don't always hear them, how how oftentimes we're emotionally dead. And it speaks in the idea of a people destroyed by the the weight, the burden that they carry. At least that's some of the thoughts that come into my mind, especially in that first stanza. At the break in of backs, in the memory of dreams, a place passed on the left, caught in a cyclone of motion, a superstitious expulsion of all toxins in our ocean, and sobriety in between, the collective of nature, serendipitous internment of a crepuscular creature baptized in societal correction. This definitely shows a view of a society and nature being destroyed by burdens and violence. So very well done by Mermaid.
Nice, thank you, Pam. Robbie, how about you?
There's a particularly strong feeling of a crisis here for me in this poem slash picture that's shown with the poem. Is because it's this in the painting. It's spooky. It's like a sentinel almost in the sky looking down at everybody, but in his usual artistic style. It's in a sense that you can't describe, right? It's in a nightmarish sort of a quality, and I get this feeling in the poem of otherworldliness, like when it says voice of radio static intensive in summary nocturnal emissions now cauterized, and that just like gives me the feeling of it's almost like thought or emotion kind of like trying to come to the surface and not being able to. And the radio static really caught me because I was just looking at my shortwave radio and thinking how I have to use it more. And there's something about radio static that is very emblematic and very like when you use it in art, like if you used it in a music recording, uh it is emblematic of mystery and sometimes of menace. I know that the some of these long form videos I've listening to, that the like the intro with the radio and it kind of goes tunes in, and there's a certain unique sort of menace in here. I would keep you all entertained. I'll keep you entertained all night, even if it broke, as we choked back intensity, crying through life pyres. And it's such a unique way to say to somebody that they'll keep you entertained all night. And you would, if you heard it that way, you'd be like, thanks. you know um and yeah, it's like there's revelation in this poetry, but the revelation is so unconventional. Crack open the grazing glaze of sleeping animals. I just thought of that. I noticed that yet earlier today where Luke Skywalker, he has to survive and stay warm, so he slices open a tauntaun so that he can sleep in it. That actually reminds me of that. Crack opening the grazing glaze of sleeping animals. So there you go.
Nice, thank you, Robbie. Well, there's a couple of things. The collective nature baptized in societal correction. There's especially with that note to the radio static on the back end being insensitive. A quiet note to uh, being drawn in line, following the right cues, so to speak. But that next stanza, dying, I throw the key down and socked, singing all the way, bowing forehead to the ground, catching thermal updrafts, clutching sky to do the work, clouds hanging plump, a disease that confirms even normal is thermal, an unreachable entity. Um, and then she hits on a lofty, orphaned kite, celestial, disturbing flights. But it is breaking out of that note of correction to soar as a singularity. And that she also hits on, what was it? Oh, damn it. Okay. Oh, I am one, and so are you. Experience this life without blunted truths. So there's an open a thought to opening up a connection, and then that idea of I would keep you entertained all night if it broke as we choked back intensely, crying through like fires. Voice of radio static, insensitive. That voice of radio static kind of hits that note of empty or dead airwaves. In summary, nocturnal emissions now quarterized. Quarterized hits on the idea of uh, sealed, burned, um, healing. It's usually that's what cauterized is used for, is to note some sort of healing. I'll have to read it again, but I like it. Back to you.
All right. Up next, we have Monument to a Forgotten Era by Daniel Duhame. And go ahead, please, Robbie, and give that a read.
All right, here we go. Okay. Monument to a forgotten era, rusted and left to rot away like a forgotten timepiece. What was once a car driven to unknown roads, glass broken and shattered into pieces, engines stolen by scavengers in the night, apocalyptic landscape of twisted metal and crumbling buildings, massive decay everywhere, and turned to dust from a nuclear explosion. Nothing moves anywhere in the barren world, left to rot away, death everywhere in the horizon of red skies. Water contained by bionuclear waste. Survivors found caves to keep alive, searching for bottled water left in underground bunkers, and cans of food opened to keep alive. No one ventures after dark because of the creatures who dwell in the dark. Vile abominations from the nuclear blast to eat the ones left to fend for themselves. There is no hope in this world of destruction left by generals and governments. All forms of society left in the annuals of time as forgotten dreams. Even the ships of the sky refuse to visit the earth, knowing about the dangers of the air left acrid with nuclear waste. All forms of animals are gone into the history of mankind, who only can view them from picture books they find. Human population is not able to replenish itself because of sterile humans infected with radiation, driving some mad with yearning to procreate the human race. Scientists use slides of human skin left over after the bomb and create unnatural forms of what is called humans. But they don't develop the ability to speak and only grumble. Only a barren desert is left on the earth. Most of the water dried up or is contaminated by radiation, becoming poisoned to anything left on the earth. All plant life has rotted away years ago by the nuclear winds, turning them into tiny black heaps. Things left in caves are eaten by the ones who survived. blind fish adapted to the darkness of the cave, and spiders that live deep inside. Bears are also devoured by the humans left inside. End poem.
Great read, Robbie. Thank you very much. All right, Pam, what do you think?
Oh, I think this is wonderful. It's great storytelling. I like the sci-fi darkness. I think it connects really well with the artwork. I like the title Monument to a Forgotten Era. And I like how this takes a look at the world destroyed by the violence, the greed of humanity, and it looks at what happens to society when we try to play gods, when we try to, when we not only destroy life, but when we try to create life in unnatural forms. And I thought there were great lines throughout, but I especially liked human population is not able to replenish itself because of sterile humans infected with radiation, driving some mad with yearning to procreate the human race. Scientists use slides of human skin left over after the bomb and create unnatural forms of what is called humans, but they don't develop the ability to speak and only grumble. And I like the irony in that too, because while it is speaking on the idea of the unnatural creation of the next human race, it also makes you think about the idea that so many times nowadays people do nothing but walk around and grumble. So I feel like there's a nice layeredness to the use of the word grumble. So excellent write by Daniel Duhame and very well done.
Nice, thank you, Pam. All right, Robbie, you got to read this. What about you?
Yeah, this is one of those poems that you can tell that it's a good poem because the emotional impact of it. Like I felt like emotionally drained after reading it. I was like, I need to replenish myself. Oh my god! But I mean that not in a bad way. Just the emotional impact of it. This poem is like it hit me all like even though it was like oh the nuclear apocalypse and what if that happens and that there's a couple of ways in which it hit me in a shockingly real way in that like when it talks about the decayed oh my god the decayed car and that there is I don't even want to know why it was there but there's this parking lot that's increasingly dangerous. There was a murder there actually only a couple of days ago across from one of our
And
malls.
where were you a couple days ago, Robbie?
Or was I?
He
Well, I
left his
had
son
to.
at home, so he can't tell you.
That's the. That's the truly horrible thing. You have to go through that. You have to go through that one area to get to the mall, and you're like, oh my god, what do I do? Unless you take like a massive long way around. But anyways, yeah. But yeah, like there's this minivan or this mini bus or something, and it was like all rotted away and everything and rusted. And I was like, this looks like something from a movie, and it could have made for an interesting like black and white photo. But I was like, I felt like I would be complicit in a crime if I took a photo of it. Like that would be taking photo of a crime scene, and it was scary. It really was. It looked like how did this end up here? How did it end up in this condition? And yeah, it reminded me of that, like seeing that sort of decay. It really when I saw that, it tangibly reminded me of apocalyptic sort of decay. And then when it mentions about the governments and that have, messed things up and now the world is ruined. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's no hope in this world of destruction left by generals and governments. People couldn't see it, but I gave my finger to the TV screen because I was thinking of everything that's happening now, especially with you know who, and everything, and just all the mess ups in Iran and I'll say it, fuck ups, all the fuck ups in Iran and everything, and uh, and just how everything's spiraling there. And so it was shocking to me how real this poem was, even though it speaks of something, you know, more away, just between those two things. And it really caught. I'm imagining that is set to the car picture, like the that looked like rusted, but looked had like the organic stuff going into it, and everything is just so like there's just no hope anywhere. The humans are sterile. Everything is eating everything else. Like there's just this huge chain of predators, and you know the humans are just like at the bottom of the bottom. And what really struck me with human population not able to replenish itself because of sterile humans infected with radiation. And I just think of like all these people that want to start families, or they just generally like they want to be, you know, they're just like struggling with the idea of actually being sterile. And you know it's like a part of their humanity is taken away, even if they don't plan to have families. Just the fact that they're actually just that they're sterile must be like a would be like a just like a psychological shock and burden.
Damn. Stay away from that mall. You go really dark.
It's a tragedy. It really is. I wish they would get rid of the damn hotel that's across the way, and the liquor store by it too. That hotel has become a cesspool, and you know, and that liquor store, just get rid
Feeds
of all of
into
it.
it.
Get rid of all of it. It's caused so much trouble. It upsets me to think about it.
Yeah. Well, I did get the movie angle that you kind of hit on. This had some Mad Max into it with the what was once a car driven to unknown roads, glass broken, shattered into pieces, engine stolen by scavengers in the night, apocalyptic landscape, twisted metal, crumbling buildings, massive decay everywhere. Also, kind of hit me with the sort of the day after that movie way back when. And oh, do you remember that Will Smith movie where he's supposedly the last human on Earth, but he keeps coming across these leftover castaways every now and then. He helps get out of the city, and there's nothing but a load of um, vampire zombies walking the streets at night. Can't remember the name of the movie, but that kind of walks in this too. Yeah. Uh,
That wasn't Hancock,
Unnatural
was it?
forms of what is called humans. They don't develop the ability to speak and only grumble. Yes. Yeah, kind of hits on that note of what does survive a note like that? Because we have dropped two atomic bombs, and before that, going back probably 6 or 7 thousand years in history, there was another what they've come across as some kind of atomic explosion, which melted rock and produced trinitite, which is still some of it's still available, and some of the area is still radioactive from back then. Makes you wonder. All right, Pam, back on you.
Oh, she dropped for a second, I think.
Of course she did.
I see her popped. She's popped back up on the screen, but I don't know if she's yeah.
I am
There we go.
back. Yes. And all right, are we ready to move on to the next one?
Yep.
All right, we have Butterfly Effect by Sapphire Rose, and she was nice enough to supply us with a SoundCloud. So let me go ahead and here we go.
Butterfly Effect by Sapphire Rose. My anger shatters glass with every banshee wail. Blood boils with every contaminated breath I breathe. For every passing thought takes a decaying toll. Silence splits in two when night swallows the day whole. I no longer wish to wake up under a sky that's gray, when lava tears spill out across barren land in disarray, where the fiery void feels like confinement of four walls, strangulation of sorts, where lies and crimes walk a fine line, and the darkness stirs and grows. Emerging obscenely, the space where it all began, silent sacrifices, a virulent embrace. When united, the two collide in this foreboding space. It eats away at chaos, absorbing everything in sight, drowning in its own destruction, with no future in its plight. End poem.
Great read, Sapphire. Thank you for the SoundCloud. Very much appreciated. All right, Robbie, start with you.
Well, this actually reminded me of, well, it's like what me and Pam were alluding to at the beginning of the show, where the smoke, when it rolled in, reminded me of, like afterwards of the artist. But this poem actually reminds me of that feeling of despair, because at one point, our city was literally listed. No, I'm not exaggerating. We had some. I think we were the number one spot for the worst air quality in the entire world, or almost, and that is insanity. And this poem actually reminds me of the despaired feeling during that time. My anger shatters glass. Like I was so angry that I couldn't leave the home. Uh, blood boils with every contaminated breath I breathe. Well, that was my experience. I was like, that was never. We had ash falling in the sky. We had I was seeing literally ash in the air, and I was like, oh my god, this is the apocalypse. and yeah, like a strangulation of sorts, where lies and crimes walk a fine line, and the darkness stirs and grows. That didn't quite have to do with that experience directly, but yeah, I feel more and more there's that every day there's more and more things that happen, like crime wise and that, and that you feel like sort of like the how it's just looming over you. And and when it's at the end, like it eats away at chaos, absorbing everything in sight, drowning with its own destruction, with no true future in its plight. It's like kind of that feeling of, when is this going to end? And it's just shocking to me that today that the what I'm seeing in the poems here is actually things that I'm living, and it's like this absolute nightmare artist is like, oh yeah, I remember that from 5 weeks ago. Yeah, I lived that. I'll never forget what it looked like when the clouds first rolled in, and it was like the freakish orange, and there's just like this huge bank of clouds, and it didn't even look normal. It was like misshapen or whatever. So yeah, so that reminded me of that. And that's the thing, the butterfly effect, when it comes to something horror wise, can be even more sinister. Like if it's kind of like a disease, like, well, you have patient zero. Oh, and he goes to just one place. He goes to like he doesn't know he's patient zero, and he goes to a festival and he infects every person there, and then it goes from there. Like the idea of a butterfly effect can be particularly sinister in a horror sort of a setting. So, but anyways, with that, it's been fun to comment on some of this artist's poetry, but I'll definitely be listening to the rest of the show, and I'll be staying here in the StreamYard. But yeah, I'll be hang up my mic, but I'll be listening.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in for a bit, Robbie. It was
You
good to
bet.
hear from you.
My pleasure. Fun stuff. This artist, I love it.
Oh, yes, definitely.
All right, Pam.
And all right. Yeah, I thought this was very powerful and emotive with amazing imagery and metaphors. I like how it speaks in the idea of what feels like a small moment in life transitioning to this inner chaos, this struggle with trying to keep yourself emotionally in check, and feeling like you can't. And I thought there were really strong lines throughout, but I especially like silence splits in two when night swallows the day whole. I no longer wish to wake up under a sky that's gray when lava tears spill out across barren land in disarray, where the fiery void feels like the confinement of four walls, a strangulation of sort. To feel as if you're trapped and have nowhere to go, not only like physically, but feeling as if you have to hold your the truth of your emotions in. So excellent, right? And very well done.
Nice. Well, she's written the two pictures. I like the upper half walks on that note of that first picture, and the very end walks on that second picture. But I like the thought there because that let's see, the blood boils with every contaminated breath I breathe. For every passing thought takes a decaying toll. Silence splits in two when life swallows the day whole. I no longer wish to wake up on the sky that's gray. Um, there's you can walk it on that note of a sense of dying, so to speak, the splitting of self, uh, the fragmentation of that body, breathing into all that contaminated air, understanding the decaying note, and the idea of you don't want to still earn more of that debilitation before you die. So she walks on that note of, especially when she has a strangulation of sorts, which does come down to that angle. That's a horrifying feeling, like drowning, strangulation. But it also uh, walks on the idea of societal separation and the two ends being at odds with each other to the point that chaos emerges and destruction being the end result. So nicely done, Sam. Thank you.
Absolutely. Great comment, Rex. And up next, we have Dark Moments by Julie Buck. And it goes like this: My family tree's fucking barren, and balance not there. Tilted tree, though dead, one side towers higher. Does that mean the taller half has more power? No, bigger is not stronger. As a general rule, even so, don't be a fool. The ground red to show how much we've bled, the air green to display our envy like a ruptured spleen. Black is the mist, the fog we live in with tight fists. Dark moments made me who I am. I want to go now, crying over lost shit. Not my style. Not even the moon can make me mimic a smile. End poem.
Great read, Pam. Let's hit on a note of sadness and haplessness, but even the back end still manages to rot in that note of, oh, fuck it. I want to go now crying over lost shit, not my style. Not even the moon can make me mimic a smile. So that point, it is what it is, and I'll live because of it. And even though it, hey, I'll just continue walking as I am because that's all I know. Because that note of, let's see, the barren tree, uh, the ground red, the air green, black mist, tight fist, ruptured spleen, and how much we've bled. Rough note to family life and how that affects one long term. Your turn.
Ah, right. Yeah, I like the way that Julie used the colors in the painting in a metaphorical way. The ground red to show how much we bled, the air green to display our envy like a ruptured spleen. Black is the mist, the fog we live in with tight fists. This is an excellent write on the idea of only knowing barrenness and darkness. One of the things I really like about that particular image is that there's the moon in the sky, which actually looks like it's really close to the ground, but then there's also what looks like a dead moon, a moon that's fallen, and it also kind of looks almost like some sort of weapon. um and like I like that, and I think she captured the atmosphere of this painting real well. And this definitely is written in the voice of somebody who is very somber. Like they like it says in the end lines, I want to go now, crying over lost shit, not my style. Not even the moon makes can make me mimic a smile. So they're not smiling, but at the same time, they're not falling apart. They're simply facing these dark moments in a very stoic way. So excellent, excellent write by Julie, and very well done. All right. So the next poem we have is The House of the Falling Suns by Olka F. And he was nice enough to supply us with a SoundCloud. So here we go.
In my father's house. There are lots of flats us waiting for them. Every mask is so welcome and bored. Let's have some another fan, shall we? Oh, how boring are all those newcomers! Odysseus, that one was something! Yes, I remember that bastard. Smart asshole, yes! Only he didn't foresee never what was coming for him, am I right? Oh, so hellish, daddy! What is that smell? Oh, it's you, the pigeon! What in hell are you doing down here? Ooh, I so hate you! Come on! Give me a break! And break me a giving, will ya? Well, for God's sake, just once. Keep them blessed feathers out of the picture and please stop forgiving, 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 and forgiving. Why don't you sit and just, relax maybe? Or something! But not in my hacking place, no. Oh, BTW, how are you? Are you, enjoying my newest, oldest, the greatest creation of mine? The AI? Look at them, those people. Involved so, engraved badly, almost forgotten you.
Well done, Olka. Thank you for the SoundCloud. Very much appreciated. All right, Pam. I got to check out the picture for this.
Yep, that was fabulous. Great choice of music to put with his words. Of course, I immediately thought of the House of the Rising Sun with that title, which I feel like that's what he was giving a nod to by doing the opposite. I love the wordplay in this. It's very hard hitting. I like how he speaks in the voice of a higher power with an ego that's, like I've been watching the show on Amazon Prime, The Boys, and I feel like he's captured the ego of some of the superheroes, and how they act because of their powers. They and people worshiping them, they see themselves as gods. I thought the line, "In my father's house there are lots of flats, ass waiting for them, every mask is so welcome, I'm bored," it fits so well with the image within the painting, with the floating doorways. And I like how this speaks on the idea of how oftentimes people in power will get bored, and part of that, dealing with that boredom, is they want to fuck with other people's lives. Um, and I really thought this had great lines throughout. But besides the first stanza, I also really like, "Look at them, those people involved, so engraved badly, almost forgotten you." Wonderful, wonderful lines. I feel like that end line is like the idea of how dare they forget you when you've done so much for them. And with the reference to AI, it's like how dare they forget about your powers, AI, when you have done so much for them. So excellent, right, and very well done.
Oh, well, that may very well be. I kind of hit on the idea because he does hit up. Where was it? Only he didn't foresee never what was coming for him. Am I right? Oh, hellish daddy. Then it's, oh, the pigeon. What the hell are you doing down here? Ooh, I so hate you. Come on, give me a break and break me a giving. Will you? I like that note. And then, well, for God's sakes, just once, keep them blessed feathers out of the picture. Please stop forgiving, 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 and forgiving. Why don't you just sit and just, relax? Maybe or something, but not in my hacking place, no. Then he hits on that note of, are you, enjoying my newest, oldest, the greatest creation of mine? Mine? Huh? The AI? It kind of hits on that bite. Look at them, all those people involved, so engraved badly, almost forgotten you. Um, the idea of uh, the devil is always in the details. And it is that note of giving that which walks another path. That idea, hey, you know what? Why don't you try this? It's just the newest and latest in a long line of drugs for you to try. It'll keep you occupied. And before you know it, you'll be mine, mine, mine because of the AI. See, my little secret is out.
Whenever I hear "mine, mine, mine," I think of the seagulls on Finding Nemo. Mine, mine, mine.
Didn't see
Ah,
Nemo.
right. Yeah, I kind of figured you didn't, just because I kind of figured you were too busy doing like important things like work, and your kids were probably adults by then, or at least old enough that they weren't watching Finding Nemo. So, you know, but that it's one of like, I'm not recommending you watch it because all in all, I didn't find it that great of a movie. But one of the best things about it is the way they captured the personality of seagulls, because the seagulls are all running around going, mine, mine, mine. All right. So, but up next, we have Keep Walking by T. Manzano. And go ahead, please, Rex, and give that a read.
Keep Walking by T. Monda. A leash of frayed hope, and at the end of it, a face with no mouth for eating, only a slot thin as a coin drop where something is fed in. Nothing is fed back, and still it allows you to have the rope. It floats. You don't. No pupils, just two holes deep enough to lose a decade in. It has been staring at nothing since before you were born, and it will keep staring after the rope finally frays through. The field is cracked like a mouth that forgot how to close. Nothing grows here after 10,000 steps. Not fruit, just dirt, packed hard, that finally stopped fighting you. You are so small against it. Nobody is clapping. The sky is the color of a bruise going yellow at the edges, and no one on the ridge but the thing you're leading and the thing leading you. The mouth slot exhales nothing. It only takes, and you keep feeding it because being needed by something is its own kind of touch. Keep walking. The rope doesn't get shorter. It only gets more familiar in the hand, which you'll mistake over time for it getting lighter, the way a body forgets which parts it were trained and which parts it was born with. And poem.
Great read
Right.
there, Rex. Yeah, this is definitely a powerful write by T. Manzano. You can see within his first lines how he gets inspiration from the artwork. It is one of those pieces that I feel like you can see the connection with the artwork, and yet it would stand on its own as well. Um, and I like how, to me, part of what this speaks on is the burdens that we carry, the weight that we carry. But I have to say, it also seems to speak to me on slot machines and addiction to gambling, especially with the mention of the mouth. The mouth slot exhales nothing, it only takes, and you keep feeding it because being needed by something is its own kind of touch. Keep walking. The rope doesn't get shorter, it only gets more familiar in the hand. Like it makes me think of gambling addiction, but really it makes me think of any kind of addiction. Um, and the idea of the but also the idea of people who just keep taking. There's nothing they offer in return. They simply are people who just physically and emotionally drain you. And I thought there were great lines throughout, but I especially like, nothing grows here after 10,000 steps, not fruit, just dirt packed hard that finally stopped fighting you. You are so small against it. Nobody is clapping. Wonderful lines and very well done.
Nice. The link between hardship and living, the idea that it's all interconnected. You feed the machine because you've got to both work and in order to eat. Yet more often not, the work is inconsequential because it doesn't hold a meaning except as a note to survive. And the idea of uh, I think the that note of the rope, the frayed rope, also rolls onto that note of hope and how we figure, hey, it's always something a little bit brighter the next day, the next month, the next year. Uh, that we cling to. So it's the connection is walking into something better beyond what is now the hardship, the fact that it's kind of miserable, yet you cling to it because you lose all hope if you don't. And that leads to inevitably death. So you keep dragging along because you have to, you need to. It is what keeps you walking forward as he puts those 10,000 steps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great observations, Rex. Your mention of the machine had me thinking about Pink Floyd. And then I started thinking about how much Baczynski's artwork actually would connect really well with so many of Pink Floyd's songs. And up next, we have Generational Trauma Maleficence by Louise B. And it goes like this. The bus was warm. I keep my jacket on, a barrier against the muggy layers of breath and sweat and evaporating toxins. An oink of a man, simultaneously young and old, leers from the seat ahead across the aisle. You should smile more. There are days I would say fuck off, days I would move or simply stare. Today is not that day. Today I tell the truth. I can't, I say. There is a massive gray balloon tethered to my spine, full of the shame, tears, and errors of my ancestors. He listens raptly, eyes locked with mine. I had one of those, he says. I left it at home one day. He shrugged. It came at a cost. I look forward now, speculating. There's a young woman in front of me, unburdened, shines like gold, hair cascading over the back of the seat. Surreptitiously I move, tying my long dark balloon to a golden strand of hair. Imagine it bobbing above as she exits. He sits beside me now, my co-conspirator, our hands entwined, the burden of our ancestors entwined too, errors and terrors repeating themselves into the next generation. End poem.
Great read. Well, that was twisted on the back end. Misery loves
Yeah.
company. But I found that the back end is quite fascinating. Offloading uh, one's issue in the moment and finding someone who actually embraces the very same idea, all in the same mood, and kind of, ooh, it's almost a happy moment, so to speak. Yet it walks on that note of uh, errors and terrors repeating themselves into the next generation. So, hey, you find company. Misery loves its own company, and you find a like-minded soul. All of a sudden, let's breathe out some more to keep it going.
Right, right, exactly. Great comment there, Rex. Yeah, I found this intriguing. Like it had some twists and turns. Like for me, as a woman who has been told by multiple men to smile more and have told multiple men to fuck off. I was like, okay, this is going to go in a direction that I've experienced before, which is being told to smile, or that I should be smiling and then telling someone to fuck off because I don't want to. But then she goes into the exclamation, which my first reaction to that was like, these kind of assholes that that judge you because you're not having a constant smile on your face. very rarely does it do any good to explain it to them, but then it kind of transitions into this. It becomes, instead of about the physical tension of dealing with people telling who you should be, it becomes more of this psychological tension, especially as the rite goes on, and you realize that this other figure she's talking to, or this person is talking to, is a part of herself. This is her past. This is the generation before her, which connects well with that idea of generational trauma. And I like how it gets very dark, because it starts out with someone who feels that no one understands them, and then it becomes the darker part of themselves that understands, and then it becomes that transition into they have become just as dark as the people in their past. They've carried forward that generational trauma by setting that burden on the person that sits ahead of them. And the person that sits ahead of them could be a representation of a child or a grandchild, someone who you sadly carries forth that burden once again. So excellent dark rite, and very well done. All right. And up next, we have Earth to Life, Life to Earth, The End by Monty G. And he was nice enough to supply us with a SoundCloud.
My body has begun its journey back to Earth. Each day another piece fails its obligations. The dilapidation must continue unabated. Minor repair will not arrest the inevitable. Time will retrieve what was once granted. Desperation will concede to dysfunction. Despair unable to re-engineer what was. Each day, a path to conclusion prevails. Each hour a battle is fought to refrain. Each minute now a victory in disguise. Time fails to sponsor all consequence. Time unable to promise any reprieve. No longer a figment of imagination. A carcass bears a fundamental soul. There will be no alternate offering. A shell becomes void of content. Only memories remain to linger. The earth's essence brings life. Life's essence returns to earth. It is only a matter of time until our journey ends.
Great read, Monty. Thank you for the SoundCloud. Very much appreciated. All right.
Yeah, this is a wonderful write by Monty. I like the first person narrative. It makes me think of a spiritual journey that's gone dark, but it also makes me think of the idea of astronauts trapped up in space, or the idea of a story in a sci-fi realm of people who have to leave Earth in order to find somewhere else to live. I thought this had great lines throughout, some strong emotional impact. I really like each hour a battle is fought to refrain, each minute now a victory in disguise. Time fails to sponsor all consequence, time unable to promise any reprieve, no longer figments of imagination. A carcass bears a fundamental soul. Wonderful lines and very well done.
Nice. It's about life and death. That note of especially the back end of this. The Earth's essence brings life. Life's essence returns to Earth. It is only a matter of time until our journey ends. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The only thing that remains is the soul, which what is said is undestroyable. So it ultimately returns. That hits that note up top, kind of a reborn note, and then he hits on everything you go through with life: dilapidation, minor repair does not arrest the inevitable. Desperation will concede to dysfunction. Uh, each day a path to conclusion prevails. Each hour a battle is fought to refrain. Each minute now a victory in disguise. Time fails to sponsor all consequence. Time unable to promise any reprieve. It's the journey of life itself.
I like that. Great observations. All right. Well, up next we have Regret by Weaver of Dreams. And she was nice enough to supply us with a SoundCloud. So let me go ahead and push play.
My head is bowed, my eyes clouded with remorse that remains unresolved. I must atone, feel the pain of others. Allow me to be a conduit, to take unto me the anger and hate caused by my acts, to be seen and judged. Come to me, all those who suffer throughout the dark of night. Like corrosive acid, let your pain drip upon me. Purge every fear, as if each were shafts of lightning, spears of steel, thrown to tear apart this shell. I hear the deep timbre of your never-ending sorrow as it reverberates, ricocheting within my skull. I cannot look upon the face of this regret that I am tethered to, until I have fully made amends.
Great read, Kate. Thank you for the SoundCloud. Very much appreciated. All right, Pam.
Always nice to get a SoundCloud from Weaver. This has captivating lines with amazing imagery. It's a great first person narrative. I like how it speaks on the idea of facing your fears of um, the past and having to face the past. And the idea of the pain one has faced and the pain they've caused and wanting to make those amends, but how difficult it can be. It can be so emotionally difficult and painful to have to face the past, especially a past that was painful, especially a past that carries the burden of regret. Um, and I thought there were great lines throughout, but I especially I hear the deep timbre of your never ending sorrow as it reverberates, ricocheting within my skull. I cannot look upon the face of this regret that I am tethered to until I have fully made amends. Wonderful lines and very well done.
Nice. God, this reminds me of those who used to walk the streets way back in the day, the flagellants. whipping themselves on the back, drawing the pain of the world onto them, and the sacrifice of shedding their own blood to make up for the acts of humanity itself, even though she does drop in a note here of I must atone, feel the pain of others. Uh, Allow me to be a conduit to take unto me the anger and hate caused by my acts, to be seen and judged. Um, Now, is that regret real, or is it manifested by what is said? So that note of the idea of flagellant, or literally taking in that kind of it is flagellation, and she ends up like corrosive acid, let your pain drip upon me. Purge every fear as if were shafts of lightning, spears of steel thrown down to tear apart the shell. Um, that note of it's almost hitting on the idea of the world speaking in the moment, and everything's rolling through the head, so you feel that necessity to pick up uh, that shield, so to speak, and walk that narrow path and be that repository.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said there. All right. And up next, we have Shift by Aphasiana. And go ahead, please, Rex, and give that a read.
Shift by Aphasiana. Leaning away from corporeal cage, the being known as me, trapped in a flawed structure of flesh and bone, tied to responsibilities of mundane adulthood, sitting with knowledge of a dismal world. A reverse shadow lifts to life, me, but free. She flits between glimmers of joy, gathering dopamine for her companion. She is the unchained self, the purest peace. The original person is staggered by the separation, buffering between identities: the mother, the maiden, the crone, the empath, the calculator, the whimsical, shuddering as roles collide, glitch between shifts, attempting to be all is failing to be anyone. Oh, there you go.
Great read there, Rex. I have to say, this is great inspiration taken from the artwork, especially that one particular painting with the black and white figures that looks like they're separating from each other. I like how this speaks on the understanding of what it's like to be a flawed human and what it's like to acknowledge the struggle of the different parts of self and how overwhelming it can feel to try to be everything to everyone and feeling like as if in those moments you are falling apart, that you are failing people. And I like that she reminds us that some of the most biggest struggles can be just simply dealing with everyday life, especially when it comes to struggling with mental health and having to deal with responsibilities, trapped in a flawed structure of flesh and bone, tied to to responsibilities, a mundane artwork, sitting with knowledge of a dismal world, to carry the weight of how um, sad this world has become. I also really like that end stanza. The original person is staggered by the separation, buffering between identities: the mother, the maiden, the crone. I really love the mention of the mother, the maiden, and the crone. The idea of the different um, layers of womanhood, the different times of womanhood that we go through, and that end line, attempting to be all is failing to be anyone. I also like her use of the word glitch because honestly, the way that painting is done, it looks like a something glitching. So I think not only was the line glitch between shifts a great way to describe trying to go from, say, one personality to the next, or maybe not even a personality, but just being, your work self to your home self to, the different people that you are, the different person you are around people. It's such a great way to describe that transition, but it also fits really well with the artwork. So great write by Aphasiana and very well done.
Nice. That opening stanza um, kind of hits me with wanting something more, looking at a touch of hope. Those next two middle ones are uh, escapism, the idea of uh, getting out of body, so to speak, even if for a brief moment. But that last one, especially that like the note buffering between identities, glitch between shifts, and it hits on that note of uh, uh, a computer angle, zeros and ones. Yes, that note of buffering with what comes next rolls on that note of reality in being human. The mother made the crone, the empath, the calculator, the whimsical, shuddering as roles collide. The idea, it is a note of overwhelming, but uh, that note of the glitch and the buffering also hits on that idea of escaping the angle. But when you're trying to walk something that you're not, then you inevitably fail. So the idea, well, is attempting to be all is failing to be anyone. The idea of pick where you are best at and live within that realm and share up out on the other roles that sit outside that realm.
Absolutely. Well said there, Rex. All right. And up next, we have Wheel Tapper Hammer Reels Until by Eric Svensson, who was also nice enough to supply us with a SoundCloud. So here we go.
Wheel tapper hammer reels until concealed, congealed, conjured up self, always seeking itself. Surreal the driven pilgrim's desire to tread upon holy ground. Dreamer wanders upon a vast landscape, a wondrous vacant space of loneliness. No movement, no motion, stillness wrapped up in stricken silence paralysis. Fulcrum point placed, the dreamscape seeks the anvil. Prevail, don't derail. Wheel tapper check the integrity of your mind's trained wheels. Still, no movement, no motion, stays stuck. Concealed, congealed, conjured up self, always seeking itself. Where art thou, hallowed ground? Dreamer coalesces with consciousness. Seek the burning bush. Fulcrum point placed. Prevail, don't derail. Wheel tapper check the integrity of your mind's train wheels. Suddenly, swiftly, limitation shatter. Skyborn, shorn from doubt, the clout, golden halo flames ignite. I am that I am. Could plausibility be possible? O doubting mind cog wheel tapper, see your hammer become a conductor's baton. Before and below the burning bush, so surreal, the viewer intuits faint, intermittent fragrances. Must be frankincense, maybe it's myrrh. Sound bites of matins and vespers during bitter cold Polish winters. Solemn, somnambulant icons on stone walls. We'll tap a litany upon litany, ever always tapping, tapping, mapping, tapping, manifesting gold embroidery on vestments. I am that I am, concealed, congealed, conjured up self, no longer seeks itself. Driven pilgrim, surreal desire to tread upon holy ground is fulfilled, embalmed, yet unharmed, in golden burning bush flames, pervade and persevered for posterity. Against all odds, the artist's masked countenance stares back at itself. I, creator of art, am that I am, as you, petulant purveyor, are who you are. Cohesive creation coalesces all heads, hearts, and minds. End poem.
Great read, Eric. Thank you for the SoundCloud. Very much appreciated. I don't know what pick he went with, but what do you think, Pam?
Yeah, I really like that image that he went with, and I think he connected with it very well. This has just really captivating lines, brilliant imagery and metaphors. I like the use of spacing. I feel like that connects well with the artwork. Um, really, to me, this speaks on the human need not only to fill those empty spaces, which oftentimes feel so lonely, but also the idea of finding balance and purpose in our life, and going beyond the limitations that we feel society has um, you know, left for or put us in. And I thought there were just amazing lines throughout, but I especially like suddenly, swiftly, limitation shatters, skyborn, shorn from doubt, the clout, golden halo, flames ignite, I am that I am. Could plausibility be possible? Oh, doubting mind, cogwheel tapper, see your hammer become a conductor's baton. I like how that speaks in the voice of a higher power and says, stop being so doubtful. You have more power than you think you do. You are capable of so much more than you think you are. So excellent, right, and very well done.
Nice. I think it's that line. Wheel tapper. Check the integrity of your mind's train wheels. The idea of make sure you're on the path that you're supposed to be on, as opposed to uh, taking sidetracks and get lost in the morass, because he does keep rolling onto that note. We're out there, hallowed ground, and then there was a note to seeking hallowed ground, and then finally, suddenly, swiftly, limitations shatter, skyborn, shorn from doubt, the clout, golden halo flames ignite. I am that I am. Could plausibility be possible? Oh, doubting mind cogwheel tapper, see your hammer become a conductor's baton. That note of being the one that leads the musical choir, so to speak. Uh, then that note, before and below the burning bush, so surreal. The viewer into its faint, intimate fragrances must be frankincense, must be myrrh. sound bites of matins and vespers during bitter cold Polish winters, uh, solemn somnambular icons on stone walls. We'll tap a litany upon litany, ever always tapping, tapping, mapping, tapping, manifesting gold embroidery on vestments. Walks on that note of creation of that which is special. Um, Driven pilgrim's surreal desire to tread upon holy ground is fulfilled, embalmed, yet unharmed, in golden burning bush flames, purveyed and preserved for posterity. Kind of hits on that idea of um, when a pope is put to rest. The matins, the vespers, the idea of frankincense and myrrh, the golden embroidery on the vestments being placed within, but also spending your time walking that hallowed path towards your destination.
Absolutely. Well said there. All right. And up next, we have Talking to God by Garanwi. And it goes like this. A face in the sky is talking to me, telling secrets and lies about mysteries, offering answers to questions not asked about where is God from, with myth of belief for prophets to sell fairy tales from pulpits of faith, wondering why it's chosen an atheist who doesn't believe religions can't. If if answers saying that's the joke, it answers saying that's the joke. Who will believe you can talk to God? And poem.
Good read. I like the back end of that. There's a nice touch of humor in it. And his bite at the
Yeah.
comedy, it's divine inspiration. Yeah. Um, and there is a quiet note of that. Hey, if it comes to talk to an atheist who doesn't believe in religion anyway, and you get that, yeah, why not? Because ultimately, the atheist doesn't believe in anything to begin with anyway, except the sanctity of human life as it is. So, on that note, that answer in the back end of this, it answers saying that the jokes, who will believe you can talk to God? So, yeah, you know what? Can we go look to the yeah, jokes on you, boy. So, you might as well come up with a good stuff. Then everybody will believe you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great comment. Yeah, I really liked this. The humor and the sardonic bite at the end, along with the wordplay, like using the name of Immanuel Kant. Like at least what I'm assuming the references to is to Kant, but it's also wordplay in the idea that it sounds like like the word can't. And I like the irony and the humor in those end lines. And I like also how it speaks on the idea of honest discussion about religion, about spirituality, and but also how sadly religion can be used to manipulate people. So excellent write by Garanwi and very well done. And up next, we have The Watcher in the Sky by Yumpy. And go ahead, please, Rex, and give that a read.
The Watcher in the Sky by Yumpy. They captured the sky before imprisoning the ground, rewrote it in circuits where silence was found. A virus of watchfulness humming with codes. Smart became surveillance on all of the roads. Eyes in the sky, that Orwellian stare, Mechanized watches bank hands in the night air. Out of the sky grid descending like sleet, a sentinel watching, surveilling each street. It released its faces like bureaucratic retorts. Each man's raw feelings of state still distorts. In districts of consensus, the people complied, checking the clouds for the mood they must hide. Joy was forbidden in ration degrees. Grief was a whisper, come out on your knees. Anger was filed in the chamber of dust. Love became privilege, often left to rust. Individuated pause, knowingly under the sky. A flicker of hope that made the bird cry. He descended in tremors of shimmering masks, extracting their hesitance, finishing his task. It left them corrected, aligned with the whole, their doubts erased from the map of their soul. But some minds were luminous, wild at their core, producing a static that birds could not store. The spiritually evolved, forged through its haze, with thoughts that refused to be sorted in trays. Their memories shimmered, consciousness shone, frequency set free, their true consciousness grown. One anomaly arose from the district of rust, a man with a mind the bird could not trust. Whenever it neared him, its faces would blur, its wings could convulse in a panic whir. It tried to record it, but nothing aligned. His thoughts were horizons that couldn't be mined. At dawn the sky trembled, birds lost their spell. A cathedral of watches descending through hell. In storms of blue faces came pouring like rain, attempting to uncover the thoughts in his brain. But his mind expanded, a widening flame. A shimmer erupted, shattering the main frame. The archive collapsed in a cataclysm of light. The sky fractured open as the day challenged night. The bird spiraled upward, dismissed of its roles, no longer a war for the body and soul. People looked up, their expressions returned, reclaiming their faces the city had burned. Their emotions returned, unburdened, unbound, the cold grip of suppression slowly unwound. No banners lifted in the wake of calamity, just silent reclaiming of stolen humanity. The bird stayed aloft, its shadow remained, a faint apparition in sky once constrained. Humanity now rises, unchained hand in hand, freedom reclaimed, united we stand. End poem.
Great
Oh,
read there, Rex. What an amazing write by Yumpy. Great rhyme and flow. Um, I like the way he connects with the artwork, which I think at least a couple, if not more, of the artwork I had put up did have images of like a figure in the sky. And I like how he took this in the direction of that being like Big Brother watching, and the idea of a society falling apart. I like the Orwellian reference. I thought that was very cool. Eyes in the sky, that Orwellian stare, mechanized watchers, mankind's nightmare. So the idea of constantly being watched, the idea that your life is no longer your own, it's no longer private. And I like how this also speaks near the end on the idea of standing together, standing up against the enemy, standing up against those who would try to manipulate you, try to take over your lives. Um, and I thought there were just amazing lines throughout. But I did also really like at dawn the sky trembled, the birds lost their spell, a cathedral of watchers descending through hell. Its storm of blue force faces came pouring like rain, attempting to archive the thoughts in his brain. But his mind expanded, a widening flame, a shimmer erupted, shattering the main frame. The idea of humanity, true humanity, winning the war with the light that we carry within our spirits. So excellent right and very well done.
nice. Um, I know where he's going. He's got smart capitalized in that first stanza. That's hitting on that note of the smart cities they want to create, where uh, everybody within this city can get anywhere across the city in 15 minutes, and they have no reason to leave the city itself. The idea is compliance under a kind of domish atmosphere. the idea of because you look at everything now. You've got smart TVs, you've got smart dishwashers, smart uh, refrigerators, and they're all reporting to someone. So that note of the eye in the sky, that Orwellian stare, mechanized watches, mankind's nightmare. It kind of walks back to also the uh, Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. That note of
Oh,
Skynet,
yeah, the Terminator.
Skynet being the operating notion of how things are. And actually, we've got some of this is already occurring. You can't walk anywhere in London without being recorded on CCTV anywhere. So you've already there are places that have lost that idea of personal autonomy, of freedom, where you can't walk anywhere in London itself without being recorded. Yes, there's still plenty of crime going on, so either they don't really give a shit about the crime, except maybe some of the bigger things, because they can pick these people up in a heartbeat for the stuff they do. Yet a lot of it goes undone. So it walks on that note of control. Yet they still want the idea of hey, you know what? Let them kill each other. We don't care about them.
Sad but true. Sad but true. Well said there, Rex. All right. Well, I have put up just one last poem for the night, and then we will have one, two, three, four carryovers for the next dark show. And I have put up Terminal Pine by Robert J. Tice. On carnage grounds, alone, a bone, beneath a bleeding, wheezing sky, the final pine has lost the brawl against our rapid apathy. Old cones cremated, shadows smoked, deep roots exhumed, left skeletal. Nobody near in death kiss wind to wish it any differently. Infernal rain inflames the waste, contaminates the space and ways and purges droughts of certainty with changes unmistakably. Collapse the trunk, busts into dust without a camera crew or crowd. No protest in this withering or claims of fake calamity. The last denial cannot be, paints fatal air with irony. Extinction no one flouts or doubts if history affirms the worst. End poem.
Great reading. Terminal pine. There's a note in that because pines are evergreens. I think it points to a couple of things. The idea of uh, forests that aren't properly regulated. You create burn burn bombs, berms, so you don't have to worry about say 15, 20, 30,000 acres burning at once. And you kind of walks that note of California quite a bit. The idea of not cleaning out your forest to the point where you save the forests themselves. Eventually, well, you let those. It takes 50 years for another good standing tree to grow within those grounds. Even though you've got 20,000 acres burned out, that's a lot in between the rains. You get the idea of erosion on the soil, but then you get more of that landslide activity. Yeah, and back in history affirms the worst. The idea of not taking care of your surrounding notes of nature, they eventually give way and tell you to fuck off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I thought this had just these really powerful lines. It's an amazing dark right on nature sadly destroyed by the apathy of mankind. Um and the idea of history sadly repeating itself. And I thought there were great lines throughout. I especially like old cones cremated, shadows smoked, deep roots exhumed, left skeletal, nobody near in death kiss wind to wish it any differently. And the end stanzas too. Those were just really powerful, speaking in that idea of that history affirms that, when we treat nature this way, the worst will happen. So excellent write by Robert J. Tice, and very well done. Um, Great show tonight. Thank you, Rex. Our carryovers will be Charles Gradante, Lena 61, Xanthos Beslios, and Vizago for the next Dark Show. You can join Fill My Eyes and Intimitus Rex for open poetry tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Don't know if there's anything going on Saturday. I don't think so, but we'll find out. And then Sunday is Rhythm and Rhyme with Intimitus Rex. And what do you have going on there, Rex?
Yumpies, yummies.
All right. All right. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And of course, make sure to keep an eye out on the contests and topic boards put up by our late night poets, hosts, and hostesses, because you're sure to find something to inspire. And thank you. Great show, Rex, and have a wonderful night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.